And every time you use a commercial email account, Yahoo, Hotmail, Gmail, read the agreement that you click OK on. They own everything in your email. They read your emails too. Again, that's a Microsoft/CIA company. Read the agreement you signed with Yahoo, Hotmail, Gmail. If you read the agreement, it states in there that they own the copyright on every word you write in your own emails. You've given away all of your rights by using their quote-unquote free service. So what? What's the big deal? To what end is this? Why not just drop a couple of nuclear bombs in the United States, just like, Dick Cheney wanted to do, to keep little King George V, George Bush, on the throne of the White House? Just, that would be a lot easier than all this other, spy crap. Well, our masters have a problem, one of many, because China now owns most of the United States. They bought our bonds, our hedge funds, and they now pretty much own us outright. And you really don't want to upset the landlord who owns you, especially if that landlord, China, can raise a standing army of 5 million soldiers in one afternoon. Because our masters need to keep us stupid, frightened, ignorant, and broken until they're, ready to burn the earth, which is just, like moments before the dead brown dwarf star flips the earth end for end. They're busy. They've got their hands full. But again, there are too many variables. There's too many human beings in the process for me to actually believe that our masters can pull off the burning of the surface of the earth with their harp stations. I'm just not too terribly worried about that. But it's, it's their part of their great work, so we need to talk about it so so you can decide for yourself. And you know what? I have even more doubts about their god, Satan, if Satan does indeed exist. If Satan would be dumb enough to fall for their plan, which is, of course, to lure her back to the earth, put her on the throne of earth, capture her, throw her down, and, take her place and make themselves gods. I mean, if Satan exists, if Lucifer is real, she's been around for millions of years. I'm sure she's still looking fabulous. Don't hurt me. I'm just guessing that she's slightly smarter than we are. But then, why does evil always win? That's easy. Because they'll do anything, including sacrificing their own kind to achieve their great work. For example, or a good example of this is, like we talked about earlier, our masters will take 3 steps forward. We realize what they're doing. We, knock them in the teeth, and they take 2 steps back. They're still thrilled because they've already gained 1 step on us, and we never noticed. Part of the plan. Our masters will do anything, even if it costs them billions of dollars and dozens of their own kind, to gain that 1 extra step on us. So our masters gained 1 foot by sacrificing everything and anyone they had to. I saw the low-end version of this kind of behavior in my 3 tragic years in New Zealand. The average New Zealander of today is a frightened, terrified, completely lost soul. Why? Well, it's pretty easy once you understand it. Because for the last 40 years, the best and the brightest people born in New Zealand have fled the country as soon as they were able to. Originally, they just left New Zealand to get better pay. But now, New Zealanders coming up, get to be 19, 20, realize, oh my God, there's no future here, and boy, these people are vicious and cruel. Now New Zealanders are fleeing the country for not only better pay, but far better treatment overseas. Brutality like you would not believe. And I grew up in Hollywood. I thought I'd seen brutality, but no. The New Zealanders have far outstripped Hollywood in just sheer levels of madness. And so, let me ask you this. If the best and the brightest of your people leave your country, never to return, who does that leave behind? The moron. Our friend, the moron. And so today, the country of New Zealand is ruled by, controlled by, morons. Living in New Zealand is a nightmare, and not just for foreigners. They're airdropping poisons into the forest, even as we speak, to get rid of, what was it, raccoons or mongooses or something. I forget why they're doing this. It's like ludicrous. They poison their land. They poison their waters. In fact, the fresh drinking water, quote unquote, that comes out of the tap in Wellington today is so polluted that it will actually burn your skin. I met one woman, a New Zealander, living in Wellington, owned her own home. She could not take a shower in her own home because the water coming out of the faucet burned her skin on contact. And New Zealand is a wonderful example of mind control in action. As I said, I've never seen so many program responses in my life. And again, I grew up in Hollywood. But the one thing that amazed me over and over again, beyond all of this, is the fact that the average New Zealander was willing to destroy themselves, their family, their country, just to get even with a foreigner, or just to get even with another New Zealander. They were willing to destroy themselves just to teach you a lesson. And it's that type of hysterical gibbering, and I have never used the word gibbering in a sentence before arriving in New Zealand. This gibbering madness, that is the defining characteristic of our masters. They will do anything, including destroying themselves, just to get even with us. Now, what I can't figure out is what we ever did to our masters for them to feel that they ever had a need to get even with us. That's a mystery I can't answer. I don't know. But remember what we talked about in a previous episode about the Satan worshippers I've met, who have dedicated themselves to serving Satan in this world, and then dying in her name, going to serve her in hell. And yes, Satan, Lucifer, is female, but then again, so is God, but, we'll leave that for a story for another day. So yes, evil always wins, because they'll do anything to win. That is why I came up with the idea of the village, where a few, and I'm sorry, a painful few, good, genuinely decent human beings can live safely, happily, comfortably together, while the Earth goes through her regular 32,000-year cycle, flipping end for end, then being dry cleaned by planetary lightning, and then being reborn for us. And I really hope to see you there on the flip side. I really do. For all of us here at the 2012 Fad, this has been Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day, and reminding you to please keep that one good thought. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel finding his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.